And we're back, and the RP Show is brought to you in part by Vegas.com. Save 50% or more on the best Vegas shows this week, like Piano Man, a tribute show to Elton John and Billy Joel. Also, Zombie Burlesque and The Vegas Show. Get your tickets today at Vegas.com. All right, Rich Sutter joins us from Hockey's First Family. Richie, before we delve into trade deadline stuff, the viewers are debating today the greatest hockey arena on the globe. I don't want to put you on the spot, but what comes to mind when you get asked that? Yeah. Anywhere that you've played in. Yeah.
Well, I really like the old Global Arena in Stockholm from the Europe side. NHL, well, I would say there's some great old ones, original six ones. Obviously, MSG is the most popular one in the world, but in New York City. But I would say the old Boston Garden, the old Chicago Stadium, the odd in Buffalo. The reason why I say those places is because they were great places to go play because of the atmosphere and how competitive those teams were. I will honestly say that some of the teams I played on weren't so greatly competitive when you go into those buildings, and that was the best thing I loved about it, because there was nowhere to hide. And you knew that it was going to be hit or be hit, and that it was very obvious when the old clock struck down with 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute before you headed out onto the ice for the game and for each of the periods, that who was ready to go in your locker room, who had their skates tied up, who had their jerseys tied down. It was obviously who wasn't. And it was obviously who was. And that's what I loved about it, because you knew that at some point in the night in a lot of those rinks there was going to be a little rodeo. And that was the best part I loved about it.
13-year NHL veteran Rich Sutter with us, and you're right, you played in all those great barns, plus a little bit in the new ones too. So with the trade deadline coming up, we got some moves out of the way. Artemi Panarin, Quinn Hughes, they're calling Connor Murphy a minor deal, but it might not be minor to the Oilers, and it certainly isn't to him. What do you see happening between now and this Friday?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of, obviously, I think as every game got played here since the return of to the season, that every game, Rod, had implications for each team. And as each team moves into games 3, 4, and 5 here, it's kind of like you're crossing yourself off the board. Who believes they're still real and who believes that they're no longer real. So I think there's probably a lot of teams, that, especially the active gyms, that have done their homework ahead of time, going plan A if we're still in it, plan B if we are still believer in it, plan C if we don't believe we're not in it anymore. So there's got to be a lot of scenarios and basically plans in place, and the smart gyms and the effective ones and the ones that are doing their diligence are doing that with their staffs. And you know that there's probably a portion that have done that and a portion that probably not. So that's the way this world works, especially in our league. And so it'll be very interesting. Edmonton did a little bit of homework yesterday. I don't know if that really moves the needle. Obviously, he said it's a very important thing when it comes to personal lives being effective in Connor's life. And by the way, Rod, Connor's dad is Gord, not Larry.
Thank you. Okay.
But that's okay. But anyways, it's a move for Chicago. They believe that it was time to move on, that they didn't think probably they were going to get him back to come July 1. And it's a move for Edmonton to see what they got. Look, his minutes were down substantially this year compared to the last couple of seasons. There's a major reason for that obviously I don't know no one's really talk about. So if you think he's still a top 4 guy, I think you're grasping to think he's still a top 4 guy, because he was going to be a top 4 guy. His minutes are going to have to come right back up. I don't know if that moves the needle enough for Edmonton. Obviously, I think it does by giving up a second-round pick, which I thought was massive. But getting Chicago to retain some salary probably helped with that pick. So there's a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams looking to move some guys. There's a lot of UFAs that teams are going to want to probably hang on to because they feel they're still in it. I can think of 2 or 3 teams that have very valuable UFAs that are big parts of their clubs. That if they're not getting those guys signed now, they're going to hopefully get them signed down the road, whether it's before the season ends or before July 1. But it's obvious some teams are going to go ahead with some things that are going to blow some people out of the water in terms of, wow, they made that deal. Um, there's some teams I really hope they don't move some guys, because for them to be able to get back into the lot, get back into contention, to get back into where they feel they are the group to be talked about come playoff time. I'm a little bit concerned about why some teams would move some of those guys, because if you lose them, what are you getting back to to fill those spots?
Wonderful assessment. And there's an avalanche of viewer questions have come in for you. I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. I want your read on some situations. I assume you listened to NHL radio.
Yes.
This morning. They were saying, why would you fire Jim Hiller coming out of the Olympic break if you knew you were going to fire him? Why wouldn't you fire him before the Olympic break? And I was thinking they might have thought, Ken Holland might have thought, let's see how we do after a break and how we do with Panarin. And they come back and nothing's changed, and that's why they made the move. But that's what I see. What do you see out of LA?
I think there's a lot of people agreeing the same thing. Why now? Um, have they still got a chance? Wow. I mean, I don't know if they really do or not, quite frankly. I don't see a difference in that team improving their offense. Their goaltending has been suspect here lately. Um, they've lost Fiala. Yes, they gained Panarin, but they needed Panarin and Fiala, and they're still not scoring goals. So uh, I think there's a lot of people wondering why that choice or decision was made at this point. Mind you, DJ went on record saying that he's going to get this team in the playoffs, and quite frankly, I hope they kind of find a way to at least make it very interesting. So yeah, that's where I read LA at this point.
A fun one. Joe Lazzato is watching on Long Island. He says, where does Rich's former home rink, the Philadelphia Spectrum, land on your list of the best barns?
One of them as well, Joe. I guess I should have included that in the group of the other 4 or 5. But yeah, look, all those older buildings, like even the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island, like those rinks, these were not easy rinks to go in and play. There was a lot of guys that you know didn't really want to get on the bus to go to the rink from the hotel to go into some of these rinks, or I guess Long Island walk across the parking lot. So I think for some guys, it might have been a long walk with a lot of doubt in their minds, especially when the Islanders were in their heyday.
Okay, Leafs. Ooh.
Oof.
What should they do?
Well, they've got to try and get something for their UFAs. I would love to see them try and sign McMahon. I think he's a legit hockey player. Do I believe he's a top 6? Maybe in a pinch, playing for a few games with the right guys. But I think he's your perfect third line guy that can contribute, play both sides of the puck, play big, play heavy, play fast, which is his big weapon in his game. I would think that if they can't think they can really get something done with him, they're going to have to try and get something for him. Same thing with Scotty Lawton. I mean, both these guys have expressed they want to remain Maple Leafs, but how do you do that without signing them before Friday? So, and there's other guys. There's some guys in the back end as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Brad's going to do. There's a lot of guys. There's got to be a lot of balls in the air for him right now.
Jeff in Toronto writes in, he says, fire sale and start again. But I feel like he's a Sabres fan. He just happens to live in Toronto. And I saw Buffalo here Friday. Your son, Lucas, is still working for the Sabres, is he not?
Correct.
Yeah, they came through here the other night, and I was like, wow. And Tage Thompson, Richie, you know all this, but I saw it firsthand for the first time. When he really tries, oh my God, what a player. How do you explain what's happened there since firing Kevin Adams?
Well, I think they started to turn the corner actually really a little bit. They were down and out. They were last in the Eastern Conference when they went into Edmonton in late December or part of December. They won a big game. They fell behind. They came back and won it. Edmonton tied it in the last second of the game, but still Tuck won it in overtime. But That seemed to be the turning point where they believed they could start to do some things. And I think it was a matter of some guys just had to get a little bit mad, not about their own selves, but at each other about let's not stop or let's not continue to piss some of these things away. There's a good group here. They've drafted very well. They've developed. There are guys there that are not even on that roster, I believe, are knocking on the door to be good NHL players. They have depth there, Rod, that they could use to probably make some moves. Yarmo is smart enough to be very careful because the group has shown him what they're capable of doing. Does he tinker and add to it? I think he will. At least there will be serious discussions. Look, he went through a situation like this in Columbus when I was with him, with the Panarin situation, where you want to compare that to Tuck. We kept Bob and we kept Panarin around, believing we could win at least a couple rounds or at least get into the second round, which we did, knowing full well that there was a chance we were going to lose those guys come July, which happened. There's no doubt that Yarmo's not thinking of that, but obviously he realizes that. But I think this is a much different situation with this group in Buffalo than it was in Columbus, where I think there's way more talent. There's way more talent coming. Tuck is a Western New York guy. It's going to come down to, do you want to do what's best and what's right, not only for your organization, but also to your degree, it comes down to how much is too much in terms of what you're asking and how does it make it work for your club. I think this team making the playoffs and maybe doing some noise, which I believe they certainly can, will make a big decision and weigh on Alex Tuck's mind about whether or not he stays come July 1.
13-year NHL veteran Rich Sutter is with us. Vegas at Buffalo tonight. Jack Eichel's return. There's some little bit of consternation as to how that's going to go with the fans. But your thoughts on the Golden Knights? I just feel like everybody's so surprised. Like Bill Lindsay was on this show last week. He's like, how are they always a cup contender? KM, Kelly McCrimmon, that's how. Not only are they going to do something, Rich, at the deadline, I'm sure, but it's pulling a rabbit out of a hat variety is what McCrimmon does. Do you see that coming before Friday?
I don't know. For the first time in probably 5 or 6 years, I don't know what they're thinking or what they're going to be trying to pull off because, look, they're trying to get over an Olympic hangover right now. That's a given. There was a lot of guys off that team that played, that went over there, that didn't get a rest. I think you saw that definitely in their play in their first 3 or 4 games coming out of the break here, and Bruce Cassidy alluded to that as well yesterday. So Buffalo will have their hands full tonight, but look, this is another game on the schedule for the Sabres that kind of will tell you something about their hockey club. Vegas is reeling a little bit. Mark Stone is probably going to be a game time decision, if at all, tonight. And they've been on their heels a little bit here lately. So it'll be interesting to see how Buffalo plays tonight. I think I would look to see Buffalo to come out and play well and hopefully get a win.
$66,000 question here. How do you feel about the way the Flames are going about things? And do you think they should have been better this year? Or was last year an aberration, a mirage?
I believe last year definitely was, Rod. And that's no disrespect to anyone there. Look, Craig Conroy's done a hell of a job. He's going to stay the course. He's going to be patient, like he's shown in previous deals, to do what's right by and for his club. Are there guys there that can be moved? For sure. Coleman, Kadri, perhaps maybe White Cloud if the price is right. But there are guys there that can certainly help other teams. Connie will show his patience. I'm sure he's got all kinds of Post-it notes on his desk knowing exactly what's in front of him and who's been offered for what and what their wants and needs are. And none of that is the timing right? Is it now or is it in the summertime? Kadri's made no bones about, yes, possibly moving on to the right place, to a contender. but he's done the right thing by being a really good soldier through all this as well too, doing what's right for the team and being a good guy for the younger guys around the locker room. So I do see the Flames at least trying to do something, whether or not the timing is now or it is before the draft.
From the viewer named WHL 1986. That's his account. WHL 1986. He's watching on YouTube. He says, Dreger and the TSN crew are reporting that Bill Zito has aggressively been trying to move Bobrovsky, but teams are shying away in the pursuit of younger, cheaper options. I don't know if that's true or not. Jeff Rimmer and I, and you know Rimbo well, put our heads together and agreed Bob doesn't want to leave. Doesn't mean he won't be traded. But what's your read on that situation?
Well, that's exactly what you just said. He probably does want to leave. Do they are they resigning to the fact that this is not an opportunity? They still don't think they could come back and make the playoffs. I think they got to be getting darn close to that. I think if Billy's going to do something, he's going to send him only to a place where he's got a legitimate chance to win. Could there be something in the top right drawer of Billy's desk saying that this is waiting for you to come back if you want to have a conversation when the season is over? Look, teams do that. We all know that. Billy's smart. He's surrounded by smart people. He'll do what's right for the organization moving forward. Look, Bob was 37?
Yep.
So you got to do what's right for the organization moving forward. This is a team that, look, I call it a one-off. 3 long seasons to the Stanley Cup Finals in a row has been wearing and taxing on this group. The unfortunate injury to Barkov in training camp just seemed to set the tone for how the whole year was going to go. I don't care who's in net next year for the Florida Panthers. I love their organization. I'm a fan of their organization. I believe this is a one-off. In a lot of ways, it could give this team a real chance to resume a good summer of rest, rehab, and get themselves back where they need to be. They're a good hockey club. I expect them to be right back in the very heart of everything. If we were talking a year out from now, I'd be looking at a 90 to 100% different looking conversation about this hockey club.
Of course. They missed Barkov all year and Kachuk for half the year. That's a pretty big pair to bring out of their lineup, you know. Steven Stamkos, we're running out of time here, but Steven Stamkos, you see him going somewhere, and can he still be effective?
Well, he's been very effective the last 3 months, for sure, in Nashville. I think it's going to take an awful lot for Stammer to go somewhere else. Look, Nashville has got some issues like a lot of teams do. But again, you know, you tweak some things over the summertime with 2 or 3 roster changes and just some different mindsets and players coming back healthy and readjusting their games. They're no different than a lot of teams. They're stuck in the middle right now, Rod. But they're also that close to being someone to talk about too. So
just going to cut you off, Richie.
He loves it, and he wants to be.
I apologize. Sorry, Rich, we're out of time. We got to let you go. There we go. Sorry, Rich. A wonderful chat. Goes fast as always. We'll be right back on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.